Hey, on 97.7 The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college. The most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his
Installation and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money.
Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome in. This is your little pre-show talk that we usually have. Once again, I want to remind everybody, thanks for watching us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and everything else. This is the little chat we do before we actually had the opening introduction to Talking Ball. So you get a little pre-show conversation here. Don't forget the state soccer. We'll talk about this. We got a lot to get through this morning. There's a lot of high school baseball stuff we want to run down on who's playing today, because there are several games that'll be played today. UAH hockey makes news yesterday once again. Tough news for them, but not all is lost. When you first saw this news, when it first came out, you got to be very careful with the wording, because you got to be very careful with the wording on how it is worded, because UAH did not cancel the hockey program again. So the hockey program is not dead, but we'll explain everything and what it means for UAH hockey going forward. The transfer portal is full on the football side. How many have gone in since August? And all the ones that did go in, it's kind of hard to rank top 50, but we're going to rank the top 50 players that went in, and some of them have already gone out of the transfer portal this college football season. Texas A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher takes a playful shot at Nick Saban, but we're going to ask the real question from what Jimbo Fisher said, because what he said was a playful shot, but will it eventually happen? Eventually it will. Maybe not. Dan Woken is back at it again. Drew's favorite columnist from the USA Today has wrote an article on the SEC and vaccinations. Oh, this will be fun. Charles Barkley weighs in on Brian Harsin. We got state soccer to go through, because the John Hunt soccer fields will be plentiful. We'll let you know who's playing and when. The Atlanta Braves knock off the Nationals in grand fashion. You're going to hear all of this again once we join the radio audience, but I want to let you guys know first of what's coming up. And if you have any opinions, and Jeff Robertson is asking about the Jimbo Fisher being playful. Look, it was done at a Booster Club rally. So when you are at a Booster Club rally, I think it's playful, because you're trying to excite the crowd that you're there. See, normally what happens in these, Jeff, is you're not allowed to take video. You're not allowed to record audio, because a lot of this stuff is said that you just don't know. And so when I was on the TV side, Nick Saban would come up here to the Red Elephant Club, and they would have it at the North Hall. Gus Malzahn would come into the Space and Rocket Center for the AU Club of Huntsville. And we were allowed to visit and interview the coaches beforehand, and we would be allowed to eat at the Auburn one. The Alabama one, we had to leave before the event even started. We couldn't have our cell phones. We couldn't have anything in there, and you couldn't be in there to record anything, because they didn't want a lot of this stuff to get out. The Houston Chronicle was there last night with Jimbo Fisher, and it's almost like a 1930s phone recorded conversation, because it was done undercover. And so that's why I say it was playful, because he was speaking in front of a booster club. And I think that is, I mean, what he is supposed to say. We'll play the audio for you coming up here in just a little bit. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey weighs in on name, image, and likeness, plus the college football playoffs. That's been a real hot topic, the college football playoffs, and we'll continue to talk about that. And as I mentioned, UAH hockey makes some news again yesterday. But let's join the radio audience.
Health Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576.
Okay, I'm rolling. Here we go.
Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are now off and running with another brand new live edition of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome into our Thursday edition show. The sun is shining now, and I woke up this morning and looked at my phone and was like, I'm wondering how cool it is outside, because it felt cool. And my phone said 45 degrees. I could not imagine. I was like, whoa. So I had to bring out the old jacket. Got the shorts on still, but had to bring out the jacket. But nonetheless, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful Thursday day. We welcome you into Talking Ball here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. As always, though, we want you to be a part of the show. We love the interaction. We love you guys listening. And gals, ladies, everybody. We love everybody that listens. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. It's open for you right out of the gates, as always. 256-576-4977. We appreciate everybody for joining us on Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Enjoy the early conversation. Every now and then, 2 or 3 days a week, we love to hop on there about 7:55, and we get the show going early and have a little bit of a pre-show conversation. It's pretty fun. Check us out there on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch every morning. Like I mentioned, we have got a lot to get to. We have got a ton of stuff on the table this morning. It's day one of the state soccer tournament over at John Hunt Park. Drove by there yesterday. The soccer fields are in fabulous shape. Kudos to the Huntsville Sports Commission, the city of Huntsville. They have got that place looking fantastic for the state soccer tournament. We'll let you know who's playing and when over at John Hunt Park. Quarterfinals of the state baseball playoffs resume today. Several of our area teams will be playing today. All they need is 2 wins to get into the semifinals. So they'll be looking for that. The Atlanta Braves knock off the Nationals in grand fashion again last night. Plus, there was a no-hitter in Major League Baseball. It'd been a long time since this team had one of those. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey weighs in on name, image, and likeness, plus the college football playoffs from the Regions Championship yesterday. UAH hockey makes news. We're going to get to that here in just a second. Charles Barkley weighs in on Alabama's Brian Harsin. Plus, we're going to have some Charles Barkley humor from the Regions Championship. Texas A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher takes a playful shot. And I call it a playful shot, and we'll explain that here in a minute at Nick Saban. But it does ponder and does prompt us to ask the real question, if and when. The transfer portal is full of football players. How many have gone in the transfer portal in football since August? And if you were going to rank those that went in the top 50, where would you put everybody? And Dan Woken suggests the SEC does its part when it comes to the vaccination. What is his suggestions and just how it would go over? Oh, leave it to Dan Woken. Leave it to Dan Woken, Drew's favorite USA Today columnist. Back at it again. But we start with UAH hockey. Oh, and the Rocket City Trash Pandas played yesterday. May not have gone like they had hoped, but they did get one in on the road in Chattanooga. But we start with UAH hockey because the news came out yesterday afternoon. And at first glance, you sit there and you say, man, I can't believe it. We poured all this money into it. We did all of this. We supported it. We did what they asked us to do. We donated funds. We got behind it. We rallied behind it. And then they fold again. It's not exactly true. Okay. Yes, the UAH hockey program has suspended its play right now. And they did so to allow players to transfer if they so choose right now. But here is the thing. Here is what they are doing. And I did have a conversation yesterday via text with Sheldon Wolitsky. And Sheldon Wolitsky, along with his teammate, along with Tasso, the former UAH hockey All-American, those two were the central engineers, so to speak, driving the train to get this UAH hockey program going in the right direction. Okay, financially, they committed funds to UAH hockey to get it to go. And so I asked Sheldon Wolitsky yesterday, what does this mean? What does this all mean? Is this a suspension or did they drop the program? And in Sheldon Wolitsky's terms, this is just a suspension of the program. They are going to be submitting proposals to the Atlantic Hockey Conference to try to join the conference. They have to get into a conference. They knew this going in. They have to get into a conference. And they are going to be doing this to any other future conferences that are created. The goal is to get into a conference. They are going to be signing an agreement. Now, this is from Sheldon Wolitsky. They're going to be signing an agreement with the administration, the UAH administration, on their commitment to college hockey in Huntsville. So, UAH hockey is not dead. They are just suspending it right now to allow some of these players to transfer. The Atlantic Hockey Conference could come out in the next month or so and say, UAH, you guys are in. If they're in, the Chargers won't play next season because they'll get everything in line to play in the Atlantic. But that is their goal right now. So it's not completely dead. They just needed to suspend it because it would have been very, very costly to try to play and put together this season of non-conference. So it's smarter for them to do this and then try to get into that conference.
Well, I mean, my question is this: how likely is it they've already been rejected by the other league? Correct.
Well, the WCHA is dissolving.
Well, yeah.
Yes, and so
but there's two main leagues in collegiate hockey. If I read the press release right, and they've already been rejected by one of them. So, to me, they're on life support. They're depending on this other league you just spoke about.
The Atlantic Hockey Association is the one that they're trying
they have asked to be a member of, and they haven't received.
Yeah, the CCHA did not accept UAH's proposal.
That's what I was going to say. The CCHA, UAH already proposed them, and they got turned down.
Yes.
And now the Atlantic Hockey Association, is that what it's called?
Yes, the Atlantic Hockey Association is the one that they are trying to get into right now.
They have applied to that league and had not received word. So to me, they're on life support because if they get rejected here, they're done.
Yeah, because the Big Ten is not going to take them in. The WCHA is
dissolving.
Well, the WCHA is dissolving, but the WCHA wanted to consider the original WCHA members, which is your Minnesota States and all of them. They wanted to go back to basically what they were doing before, and they wanted to get rid of the Alaska schools and the UAHs
because of travel.
Of travel, and they felt like those schools were holding that conference back a little bit when it came to competition. And so they wanted to be stronger. So it's not, I shouldn't say it's dissolving. It's just reforming into the powers, and they want to be a little bit more competitive.
Well, and that's damning to me.
Yeah.
Because they don't think UAH is competitive. Because I'm just telling you right now, their days of winning championships are over.
No, they are a very,
they're not, they were a power in Division II hockey. Once Division II hockey went away, and UAH was not in my opinion, aggressive, and and I guess the way to put it is they weren't, I guess, forward thinking in the way they approached being a Division I hockey program. And hey, it's all about money, because that's very, very expensive. They weren't able to fund the program properly to stay competitive on the Division I level. And so to me, I don't think, despite Sheldon and Woliski and all the others trying to help keep it going, they're never going to be able to get it to where they compete for a title. And so to me, I don't know why I think they should be trying to pour their money and their athletic department finances and things of that nature into making UAH basketball, both on the men's and women's side, as good as they can. Okay? Because I think they can compete for championships on the Division II level in basketball. Okay? That's proven, especially on the men's side. All right? They've done everything but win a national championship. To me, that's what it comes down to. The ring is the thing. Are you going to try to compete at the highest level? And they cannot do it in hockey. The travel's too much.
Well, they have got to. I mean, they may not be able to win an NCAA championship.
No, but I don't even think they can win in their league.
But they have before. I mean, when they were in the old CCHA, they won that
was a long
several
time
times
ago,
and got those automatic bids to the NCAA tournament
in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's what I'm talking about. They weren't forward thinking enough. They let it just hang there on life support, man.
Yeah.
And so those days are over. And everything is changing. We talk about it changing. We've been talking about the college football playoff all week.
Yes, and then we got more to talk about,
all
on
that kind
too.
of stuff.
Yeah.
So to me, that's just a microcosm of this stuff. And I think that's where UAH needs to change as an institution. You need to keep improving your facilities, perhaps even build a new basketball facility for both your programs. But to me, you need to try to be winning at the highest level in those two sports. And hockey needs to become a club sport. I know it got UAH on the map, but so much has changed in that period of time. And so to me, I feel bad.
Yeah.
But and minor league hockey works here. Look at the Havoc. Okay. They draw. But that's a different level of hockey. That's not college hockey. And to me, college hockey is regionalized. It's not, it doesn't work here anymore. Only pro hockey does.
All right, 256-576-4977. Get your thoughts on that if you want to. As we were talking about the college football playoffs, Greg Sankey yesterday, Drew, was at the Regions Championship, as was pretty much every other college football coach and anybody else, and including Charles Barkley, which we will hear from later in the show. But Greg Sankey was asked about the college football playoffs, because we have been talking a lot about that because of Ross Dellinger's Sports Illustrated article, really kind of bringing back the issue of, should we expand? When do we expand? And all that. Put that back on the front burner, not the back burner, but put it on the front burner. Here is Greg Sankey with Paul Feinbaum yesterday on his thoughts on expansion.
Yeah, I'm on a format review committee that was appointed a year or so ago to look at what we're doing now, look at the principles and the reasons we put together a 14 playoff, and then look towards the future. I've been pretty consistent, pretty public, saying a 14 playoff has worked, is working, and it can continue to work. And I think that's really a healthy starting point for us and something we can't forget. We also have relationships with any number of bowl games that have always been expressed as important opportunities for our teams, our student athletes. Yeah, we have opt-outs, things are changing, but still important opportunities.
There's a little bit of Greg Sankey there, Drew, and really kind of reiterating what we've talked about. He says a 14 playoff has worked. It has continued to work. And he mentioned the bowl games in there, the ties to the bowl games, as a reason to I guess, continue on.
Mark.
But he also alludes to, though, that he is open to hearing about the possibilities of everything.
Well, I mean, everybody will be. It's going to be discussed. I mean, it's on the table. There's enough money and enough demand for it to happen. But see, that goes back to my hockey argument. Is there enough demand in the hockey department? No. Because how much college hockey is even on TV? Not a lot. Even though I know it's a big deal up north.
Right. ESPN
Okay.
does the they do a few games of the tournament and then they do the Frozen Four.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? There's no money to be had. It's just an albatross as far as money goes. That's the problem. If there was a huge demand for it, especially even nationwide, we would never have this conversation. But it's just not. There's not the demand. They caught lightning in a bottle here. It was a special time at one point when the sport went from club at UAH to being a funded sport. But it's changed. And money wise and being a Division I sport, because the rest of UAH's athletic department is not and never will be, in my opinion, and probably shouldn't. They found their niche as a Division II institution. So to me, hockey doesn't work in that, I guess, formula to be successful as an athletic department going forward until the end of time, and being good, being good at what you need to be good at. And matter of fact, that's, even though I know UAH hockey has been kind of the definition of the school and got them a lot of national publicity, by now I felt really bad for the tennis players, men's and women's. And we of course had Coach on, and he's moved on. But I kind of felt like his program never should have been dropped, and hockey's the one that should have been. And we tried to help UAH raise that money and everything like that. But what has happened does not surprise me.
All right, let's go to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Mark is with us on a Thursday morning. Had to remember what day of the week it was. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning, guys. Drew, you're right on. I mean, I'm trying to think if I've ever been to a hockey game in my life. And I'm 49 years old. I've lived in Birmingham. I've been in Huntsville for about 6 years now. I'm just an average run-of-the-mill, college, graduate. But here's the thing. The thing about the hockey deal here, too, is there was a big fundraiser at some point. It was either last year before.
Yeah, it was last year.
Okay. And you start getting to a point of public trust, and just to be honest with you, I mean, it'd be hard for anyone to give anything to this, I guess I'd call it an albatross, whatever you want to call it. But Drew's done a nice job describing where it is. You first have to realize and come to a conclusion that it's dead, and then you have to let it go. And I think, I don't know who's the person in charge there. I don't know, maybe someone a couple of years ago was willing to let it go, and then there were other people that didn't let that person let it go. But, you got to make tough decisions when you're in this business. And to me, it sounds like it's a leadership problem at that university, because you have to be willing to make tough decisions for the betterment of the tennis program, betterment for every program there. And Drew, that's really what you're saying, right?
Well, yeah, and let's not misunderstand. COVID had a lot to do with the tennis program being dropped as well. I mean, if you don't have COVID, I think everything continues to. Now, hockey would have still been in trouble financially,
right?
But tennis would have been fine. That really damaged the tennis.
And Dr. Cade Smith, the athletic director at UAH, when he took over as athletic director from EJ Brophy, he walked into this situation. He did not create this situation. This was a mess before he even got there.
Hockey's been a mess for a while.
And you mentioned having to make the hard decisions.
Yeah.
Dr. Cade Smith has had to make those hard decisions, and I think he's made them the best he can.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, I shouldn't speak about, I didn't mention the individuals.
Brandon.
When you say leadership at athletics, you're going to be narrowing that down to probably an athletic director that I don't know.
Yeah.
I do know that that Drew is right on when you talk about, okay, who are we, first of all? What kind of institution are we? And then what kind of athletic championships can we bring here? And then how can you get me, myself, who lives here, how can you make me a fan of this university? And I think that's what UAB has done. I'm a graduate of UAB and Stanford, and yet I'm an Alabama fan, but I've been to some UAB games only because of the leadership change and how they bought in, at UAB. And so I think it takes that here to say, how can you win Huntsville over and get these fans to what sport it is? So I just say great job by Drew and you guys this morning, and hopefully they will get that turned around.
Thank you, Mark,
for taking my call.
Let's get to Brandon real fast on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Brandon.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, Brandon.
So you're talking.
I enjoyed watching the
sir.
Pac-12 float down the road yesterday. That was nice.
But I thought about you when I saw that. That was my first thought. I was like,
Yeah.
I got to send this.
We found a trash can floating down the road in Georgia.
It was just coming along in the water quietly, not saying anything like you do when your championship tickets cost $40 at the table, mouth shut. We got talking about earlier about Jimbo Fisher
Yeah.
jestfully playing. When he
Uh-huh.
says stuff like that, I think of a name, Ernie Terrell.
Ernie Terrell. Okay, educate us on this.
I don't know Ernie Terrell.
Yeah.
That's the guy that every time Muhammad Ali punched him in the face, he said, "What's my name?"
Okay. Well, here we go.
Yeah, that's who I
Gotcha.
think of.
Okay.
Because when you think about the history between Alabama since Johnny Football's left,
Yeah.
Saban's outscored them 423 to 220.
Nice.
Before you beat somebody's ass, you might want to make a game competitive first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I mean,
But here's the thing, and
Jimbo made some headlines, but
the thing of it is, though, I say this because he should say that, because you're speaking at a booster club function.
right.
They don't usually, that's why the video looks so bad or the audio sounds so bad, is because they don't really allow phones in there to be recorded.
You're not
They don't
supposed to
want
do that.
they don't want media in there because of stuff like this being said. It gets said all the time. This one just so happened to get leaked out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I
We've
say
seen it happen
yeah.
time and time again.
Right.
Just like last year, the now disgraced Philip Fulmer.
Yep.
The balls are back. The balls are back. We're going to go back to kicking everybody no.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Brandon, man, we are up against a break, bud.
Appreciate it, bud.
All right, Jeff
Well
Robertson
done.
says on Facebook, do the people that donated to save the program get their money back?
That is a great question.
I mean,
and
it's
again,
not dead yet, but
I'm
if it
not,
does,
and I'm not, one of these guys that's trying to make UAH look bad. I'm just being honest in how I feel about, the future of the school.
that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And so they did a lot of great work and raised a lot of great money, but I still felt like this was like a 1-year Band-Aid and they weren't going to be able to make this work long term. And that's basically what has happened. And I don't expect them to get approved to be in that conference. I just don't. I think when these leagues start thinking about the travel concerns and UAH not being competitive, because now more players transferring everywhere, you don't even have a squad. I mean, again, this is not like UAB football where they revive the program and you can compete and
you get a new stadium and you got
because they included all these facility upgrades at UAH. When the hell would that happen, especially hockey-wise? They've done nothing with hockey for years as far as facility upgrade, and they're never going to, ever. I don't think. I don't see UAH doing that.
All right, we got to get a break in. Great conversation. We got to get a break in. First guest of the morning next.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We are working with a clean slate this morning. Traffic at a heavy level all across the valley. Right now, though, it looks pretty good. I'm not seeing any major snags. We did have a vehicle fire reported on Shelton Road at the railroad tracks. That should be wrapped up. Expert Heart Care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the Heart Doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Come on, one more rep. You got this. 10. There it is. Nice work, man. You're a beast.
Thanks, man. I feel better than I have in years. And I got to tell you, taking Nugenix makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas. The big hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is Testofen, which helps boost free testosterone levels and increase lean muscle mass.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Here, are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, Nugenix is a great way to increase lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance.
Man, I need to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
No problem. You just got to send them a text. Text both to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of new Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help get you back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text BOTH to 42424. That's both to 42424.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop, but if you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have the state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on, all done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. But don't forget our parts department. So you don't have to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN. The Zone.
Okay, Brian's ready. I'm rolling. Mike's on.
Hi, welcome in to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Great conversation there in that first segment. We'll open the phone lines back up to you here in about 15 minutes. But first, though, we need to bring in our first guest of the morning. And we've been talking about some of the NFL draft at the beginning of the week. We recapped all the rounds. We recapped everybody. But now we're going to kind of delve into some teams. We've talked Tennessee Titans. We've talked Atlanta Falcons. What about the Miami Dolphins? Plenty of interest surrounding the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, totally, because of Tua Tagovailoa a year ago and now Jalen Waddle. They certainly have been aggressive in the number 5 pick last year, the number 6 overall pick this season. They made so many trades and wheeled and dealed to try to put themselves in better position because with the New England Patriots losing Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, they took a step back last year, did not make the playoffs. The Dolphins came 1 win away from doing so. Tua Tagovailoa getting 9 starts. So we will see how much progress he can make. They've made changes, on their coaching staff, especially offensively at OC. No more Chan Gailey. But we wanted to bring in for us. He's, of course, been featured on The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton last week. But he was a big part of the Senior Bowl coverage in Mobile, based out of Mobile, Alabama. And, of course, Jim Nagy and those guys do a great job. But he was on the broadcast, which you heard here on 97.7 The Zone, and he does an outstanding job. You can connect with him at deepfrieddraft.com. We wanted to bring in a good friend, Brian Bosarge, to come in and talk some draft with us this afternoon, or really this morning, I should say. I'm like Scott. I'm almost forgetting what day it is here, but it is
I've
Thursday
done that
morning.
twice today, and I don't know why.
Brian is now with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Brian, welcome. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. You do a great job breaking the draft down and the results. We're going to talk a little bit of Miami Dolphins and any other thoughts you may have of guys that you really are teams that you think did a nice job with this draft this past weekend in Cleveland, Ohio. But to talk about that Miami Dolphins draft class, because we knew that the draft was really going to begin at the 4th pick. We knew the 3rd pick was going to be a quarterback. We just weren't sure which one. And then the Atlanta Falcons decide to go best player available with Kyle Pitts. But talk about how the dominoes fell and how you felt like the Miami Dolphins under Brian Flores and Chris Greer handled this 3-day event.
Well, I was fairly confident in the first 6 picks of the draft. I had them all right in my final mock draft. Once San Francisco traded up for 3, I mean, no offense to Mac Jones, I just could not fathom a team giving up 3 first-round picks to move up to draft, Mac Jones. I knew it had to be for one of the, I want to say, quote-unquote, home run type quarterbacks, the high-ceiling guys. I figured it was either for Justin Fields or Trey Lance. And once, the reports came out that it wasn't going to be Fields, I knew it would be Lance. But the Dolphins, I mean, once they said that Tua was going to be it, and you knew they weren't going to – that once they traded out of 3, you knew that they had basically admitted, hey, Tua's going to be our guy no matter what. So, and a lot of people got down on Tua last year because of some, his play wasn't great. I could not give up on him after just 1 year like that because I knew he was coming off the injury. I want to see how he does this year with a full off season of with the team and, fully healthy, able to do everything. So I think Tua this year is going to be the year he breaks out. And so the goal was always going to be to surround him with weapons. And I think they did a great job of that with 3 of their first 6 picks they had. Getting Jalen Waddle, obviously one of the most electrifying wide receivers in this draft class. I don't think I've ever seen a wide receiver able to just go from 0 to 60 as quickly as he does. It's amazing how he can stop on a dime and then get back up to full speed as quick as he does. I love Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up Tua and you bring up his season and everything. I know we're talking about the draft stuff, but why was there so much talk in the offseason about, hey, maybe the Dolphins should trade him. Maybe, he's not where they thought he was. Or why was there so much backlash about his first season with the Dolphins?
And Brian, before you answer that, I wanted to piggyback off of it. What has changed? Because we've heard Peyton Manning come out and say, he always tells the story of, I set the NFL record, still have it. 28 interceptions in my rookie year. And yet, there was nobody that ever questioned the Colts about sticking with Peyton. Why has it become such a deal where you're not getting 2 to 3 years as a quarterback to develop?
Well, to start off with, I mean, basically it's almost a product of today's times where patience just isn't anything anymore.
Right.
I mean, you see the social media, you basically you have one day of everything and then it goes away. And it's kind of almost like that. It's almost like that in the NFL now where you expect immediate results, and if you don't, well, we've got to find somebody else. Second thing is with as far as giving up on a quarterback so easily now is because you can. Because before 2011, you signed Sam Bradford, you had to sign into an 8-year, $100+ million contract. Jamarcus Russell, same thing. Now the quarterback, the number 1 pick in the draft, is going to make $27 million, and that or whatever, however many over 4 years, and that in the 5th-year option. That's it. You can cut bait on a quarterback now that you draft, i.e. Sam Darnold, and people like in quarterbacks.
Josh Rosen. He's been out with nearly 4 teams now, or really has been. Yeah.
So you can bail on quarterbacks a lot easier now, and you don't have the crippling finances to go with it anymore. So that makes it easier to do that.
Well, then Miami goes out. They get a few pieces to help Tua then this year. We can talk about some of those pieces that should be able to help him. But so then now this is his full year, second year, so to speak. Is there pressure then on him to perform now with these new pieces that they just drafted?
I think so. And I mean, because another thing with Tua is you saw the success that Joe Burrow had last year before he was injured. You saw the success that Justin Herbert had all season long with the Chargers, and he played with one of the worst. And Burrow and Herbert both played behind 2 of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year, yet they were having success. So you see that as the Dolphins fans and Dolphins front office, and you think, okay, Tua has a better offensive line than they do. Why can't he succeed? So you go out, you add more pieces. You give him a speedy wide receiver. You sign Will Fuller as well in free agency. So now you've got 2 burners at wide receiver with Will Fuller and Jalen Waddle to go with a very sure-handed route runner, Devontae Parker. You've now got an athletic freak at tight end, Mike Gesicki. You added another complimentary tight end with Hunter Long, who I really liked. I think he's more athletic than he gets credit for. Catches everything. Great route runner at Boston College. Your offensive line, you drafted 3 guys in the first 3 rounds last year. They all played. You drafted another guy this year, Liam Eichenberg, who can play guard, can play tackle. He's another guy to help out on offense. So they've surrounded everything with around Tua. They maybe need to add another running back via free agency. I wouldn't be shocked if Kerryon Johnson, who was waived yesterday by the Lions, ends up in Miami at some point in the next couple of weeks to go with Myles Gaskin, who had a solid year last year. So I think their offense has all the pieces in place to be successful this year for them to contend in the AFC East.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to Brian Bosarge of Deep Fried Draft. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Kerryon Johnson. We know him very well here. We followed his journey from Madison Academy to Detroit, and, of course, was Player of the Year at Auburn. His whole situation, though, has always been durability and availability, not talent. But thought it was interesting when Detroit kind of gave up on him, but he's still only 24 years old. There's a lot of social media buzz that he's still got a lot left in the tank, and he's going to be someone that's going to have options. But you think he would be a good fit in Miami?
I do. I mean, they were trying to run power last year with Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin was a talented running back. I liked him when he came out a couple of years ago, but it's not really his fitting. He's more of a, probably a one-cut go runner than he is a between the tackles guy. I think that's where, you can get some more, some added, addition with Kerryon Johnson there. Or another back that, is likely, because a lot of teams, with the draft, they're going to start reevaluating their rosters, maybe let go of some other guys. So, it's something that Miami can definitely, one of the few positions they can probably add to that have a chance to stick.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've talked a lot about the offensive side of the ball, but Miami, are they going to be okay to stop the ball so that the offensive side and Tua and company can do enough to win?
They had a couple of draft picks early that I think are going to go along, or could go a long way to help that. Their second-round pick, Javon Holland, was the first safety drafted in this class. I had him as my number 2 safety behind Trevon Moehrig, who went a few picks later. But Holland's probably, you're going to look at him, I imagine he'll take over for Bobby McCain as a free safety sooner rather than later. Their second first-round pick, Jalen Phillips from Miami. If you just look at his tape, amazing pass rusher, one of the best you would have seen in this class. However, the reason that you even have him available at 17 is his medical history. He had a moped accident as a freshman, broke some bones, had several concussions at UCLA. At one point, he even medically retired from football, sat out a year, and decided, hey, I can still play, transferred to Miami. And that's when he has the great year this year, where he just dominated in the ACC.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then to circle back, I know we heard Chris Greer kind of refer to him also as a special teams core guy, but I know Miami did, at least address running back late in the draft with Jared Dokes from Cincinnati. He's a little bit, you talked about, Gaskin is a shifty guy, smaller. This dude is a power back, 5'11", 228. Do you see him being a sleeper that could be someone that can make an impact on the Dolphins roster? Or is this one of these things where, he could eventually develop, but is going to be a special teamer?
Yeah, I mean, anytime, I almost universally see any guy you draft in the 7th round, 6th or 7th round, you're drafting because if they make the team, it's going to be special teams first, and anything you get offensively or defensively is a bonus. Right. That's the way I always tend to look at these guys. I watched Dokes late in the process. He was one of the last prospects I even watched for this class. And he's got some talent to his game, no doubt about it. But, yeah, like you stated, he's more of a power guy. But special teams is where he'll have to make the team. But more likely you may see him on the practice squad to start the year.
Yeah, and with the Dolphins, what grade would you give them? I know New England, to me, seemed like they had a strong draft within that division. Buffalo has got a really good football team. Is Miami going to be able to take the next step and be a playoff contender this year in your mind?
I mean, I don't think they have to even take a step to be a playoff contender as they were last year. And also, starting last year, they added the extra playoff team in each conference. So that always helps. And, but yeah, no, I mean, I would give their draft probably a solid B+. It would probably be A to A- if not for the injury concerns coming off with Waddle and Phillips, drafted in the first round. You always have to take that into account. You hope you hope for the best, but it can always go south on you quick. So that's why I would say probably a solid B. But yeah, I think Miami's a contender in the AFC to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, have they done enough to close that gap between Buffalo and New England and the rest of the teams?
Well, no, I mean, really, I think New England would have to close the gap on Miami and Buffalo at this point.
Okay.
If we're being honest, but I thought Buffalo had one of the better drafts, in my opinion, in this class. I think they had very few needs, but they attacked them in bunches. They saw what Tampa Bay did to beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl. They went out and said, okay, let's copycat that. Let's go get a couple of edge guys. They drafted Jalen Phillips' teammate at Miami, Gregory Rousseau, who only played 1 year as a redshirt freshman at Miami, but had 15.5 sacks that year. I think his potential's through the roof. They come back with a more solid, consistent guy at edge with Carlos Boogie Basham out of Wake Forest in the second round. And then they drafted two athletic skyscrapers at offensive tackle, Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa and Tommy Doyle from Miami, Ohio. Two guys I was very high on the Dolphins tackle position to kind of shore up, the depth and potentially getting a starter with Spencer Brown there.
And as we're wrapping it up with you, Brian, to circle back to Waddle, they had their choice. I think we all felt like Jamar Chase was going to go to the Bengals. I was happy to see that reunite with Burrow, but then they had their choice between Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. In your mind, what separated those two from Miami to take Waddle 6th overall?
I would say probably special teams. The ability to add to special teams probably would put him over the edge. Plus, I think he's faster, just going to be faster than Smith. And that probably was more of what they were looking for. Devontae Smith, I mean, other than his size, there was really no questions about him. I mean, it's not his size, I should say his weight.
Yeah.
There was really no questions about Devontae Smith. But to me, if you draft Devontae Smith, I mean, he's a similar of a role player to them as Devontae Parker is, more of a guy who's going to go over the middle, make the catches, stuff like that. So I think that they were more looking for Waddle and the dynamic that he brings more than what Devontae Smith could bring.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, great stuff, man. We hope we can catch up with you soon and continue to kind of break this down before we go to training camp. But you do an outstanding job. Let everybody know how to connect with you at Deep Fried Draft and follow your coverage.
I'm on most social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, it's all Deep Fried Draft, and follow all my work at deepfrieddraft.com.
Brian, we really appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to open the phone lines back up to you and open the discussions back up as well.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And a wreck on Brock Road at Jones Drive. They paged out Rescue 1 on this one. It sounds like a vehicle hit a tree there. They canceled rescue. Apparently no entrapment, but it does have injury. Everything else looks pretty good this morning. We've had some reports of fog, but other than that, it's run pretty smooth. No mask, no hose. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device. Insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville, call 256-713-0575.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust. So come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com. From the Alabama Crimson Tide to the Atlanta Braves, we are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We got about 9 minutes, Mike's on.
All right, welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And we just had Brian Bosarge on the line, Drew, and he mentioned Kerryon Johnson. But Lions general manager Brad Holmes was just on PFT Live on the NFL Network this morning. I believe that's on the NFL Network. And says that Kerryon Johnson's status hasn't been determined. They don't know yet what they're going to do with Kerryon Johnson. Officially, the team has yet to release Kerryon Johnson. So the general manager, Brad Holmes, saying that is still undecided. So it is a work in progress, they said, for Kerryon Johnson.
Oh, give me a break with this. I mean, Ian Rappaport already reported it. And I mean, I know he's got to be getting it from sources close to Kerryon, probably his agent. So stop playing games, man. If you're going to keep the guy, keep him. If not, let him go and find somewhere else where he can try to win and get away from Detroit.
And this coming out just about 5 minutes ago. So
we called him the 256 Lions, but Reggie's now gone to New York. Kerryon's probably gone to greener pastures. Get the hell out of there as fast as you can. I mean, good Lord.
256-576-4977.
I'll give Wolverine Dan my hat and shirt.
You can get in on the show this morning. Once again, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. All right. In the first hour, the first segment, Brandon was talking to us, and he talked about Jimbo Fisher and his comments. So Jimbo Fisher was speaking at the Houston Touchdown Club yesterday. Everybody that's listening, sports fan wise, you've probably been to one of these. The Red Elephant Club. You've been to the Auburn, the AU event out at the Space and Rocket Center when Gus Malzahn would come. Yeah. You've been to these speeches. You hear these coaches talk. Now, this does sound like it's 1918 audio. I mean, it sounds like you're going to listen to 1920 radio.
Somebody had a flip phone they used, I guess. I don't know.
I don't even know if a flip phone would record this bad. But anyway, if you can make it out, here is Jimbo Fisher at the Touchdown Club.
We're going to beat his ass when he's there. I don't want him to retire. They got a great team. I respect. He and I, we've known each other forever. I mean, we coach together. Matter of fact, we're going to do a big fundraiser for a bunch of opiates and the drugs in West Virginia here at the end of this month. We're doing, me, him, the governor, and one of the state senators. We're doing a big thing for the state of West Virginia. All right. We want to get over it. You got to listen. If you don't have somebody see that, you don't get out of bed. And then eventually that'll be us. I want that. I don't mean that. I respect for everything they do and how they do it. But we can do it just as good and be just as good and better, and we will.
All right. So obviously, the last part is the part that we can talk about. Is he says eventually they will. Eventually they want to beat Alabama. Eventually they're going to be just as good as Alabama. The question is, will they?
Not as long as Nick Saban's coaching, in my opinion, because Jimbo had his shot at Florida State too, and that was billed as the game of the century and the greatest opener of all time. And basically that was the end of Jimbo's program because DeAndre Francois took the hit, and there you go. It was just, I think that he's gotten Texas A&M on the right track. But we saw how that matchup went last year, in Tuscaloosa. Alabama just blitzkrieged. I mean, and really, honestly, I kind of felt like even though he had played well against Missouri and had shown in the first couple of weeks, some outstanding play, that was Mac Jones' true coming out party because a lot of people had talked about week 3, Texas A&M, huge game, going to be at home in Tuscaloosa. A&M had a veteran team with a lot of expectations, and so Alabama just ran them over and dropped half 100 on them. So I think, A&M's a good program. I think Jimbo's done a nice job, but, and he won a national title at Florida State. He couldn't sustain it at FSU. Some of that I don't think was all his fault due to the fact that the administration wasn't completely bought in. The facilities kind of lagged a little bit. But at the same time, I don't know. I've never considered Jimbo Fisher an elite head coach, even though he did win a national championship. It's kind of like, to me, the elite ones are Dabo and Nick Saban and it was Urban Meyer. Now he's moved on to the NFL. But those are the guys that won multiple ones. In other words, anybody can catch lightning in a bottle and have a great year. We saw Ed Ogeron do that. But can you consistently be good? Now, Jimbo has done that and contended for the playoff. But, we remember what happened to FSU when he faced Oregon in the college football playoff after winning it all in 13 over Auburn, and they got annihilated. So we'll see. I do think he has them on the right track, but I'm still skeptical that he'll ever, beat Nick Saban in Alabama.
If you had to put a dollar down, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss or Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M to get it done first over Nick Saban?
Well, I mean, I know everybody's talking about what Lane did last year, putting up all those points, but they couldn't have stopped me from running off tackle. That's the problem. I mean, they couldn't stop the pass. They couldn't stop the run.
So are we putting too much into Lane Kiffin then with a possibility of beating Nick Saban?
And Lane almost did it at Tennessee. Remember that in 2009. I would still put money on Lane because depending on, but it's just going to be how can he recruit at Ole Miss and can they finally tackle someone and not play defense like a Big 12 team? I mean, that's what you want to see because A&M does have more talent. They had some guys, you saw it, getting drafted in the NFL. But I think where they fell short was even though they had a good year, Kellen Mond was too inconsistent at the quarterback position for them ultimately to win the SEC. And so how is Haynes King going to develop now? He's the next guy for Jimbo. Jimbo is known as a quarterback whisperer, even though every one of his quarterbacks have not made it in the NFL. He's got them drafted in the first round, but they don't seem to translate to that level. But still, he develops them. So how is Haynes King going to develop?
Did he make Kellen Mond better?
Yeah, I mean, he made him better, but there was still the inconsistency there. Right. I mean, he would look like a world beater one game, and then he would be just like the Alabama game.
That's what Lane Kiffin is dealing with Matt Corral right now as well. I mean,
there's no doubt about it.
One game he looks phenomenal. The next game he throws 5 interceptions.
Yeah, against Arkansas. And then, Kellen Mond had the crucial pick 6. Against Alabama. So that's what you always kind of expected is in a big game is Mond going to have the big turnover, and usually he obliged.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We've been talking some UAH hockey in this first hour. We've talked some college football. Comments from Facebook Live. Brandon, who joined us earlier, said, like UAH hockey, Stanford parents raised $10 million to save the Stanford wrestling program. The fact that scholarship wrestling is not considered a priority and is no longer a scholarship sport at many big schools is sad. If you can't afford wrestling, your next governor may be a man that thinks he is a woman. Save wrestling. Don't know about that last sentence.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Austin Blanco, how do y'all think seeing the first game of the Rocket City Trash Pandas? Oh, what do we think of seeing the Rocket City Trash Pandas stumble 6-1 yesterday to Chattanooga?
They wore my hat.
They were the one you?
Yeah,
okay.
I was happy about that. So it's an answer to a trivia question. I bought a hat the other day. And
Yay! You also bought a shirt as well.
Yeah, I spent $6,500. But anyway, it was expensive. Okay.
Yeah, so if you go out to Toyota Field for the home opener, bring a little extra cash because you're going to need it.
Cards, brother.
Well, so, you can't bring cash because they don't have that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so anyway,
you're going to need it. You're going to need an extra credit card. But 6-1, they only had 4 hits.
Yeah.
Reed Detmers loses in his anticipated debut. It was kind of a thud. So we'll see where they go from here for the J Bell and the boys. Hopefully they'll bounce back.
Yeah, they got a double hitter today. So
due to the weather, I'm assuming these are going to be 7-inning games.
They are.
They're gonna play 2. So hopefully they'll get off the schneid today. But it was unfortunately not the debut everyone was anticipating.
All right, guys, the horn's going to sound for hour number 1. We have got a ton of stuff to get to in hour number 2. Drew, your favorite columnist from the USA Today has put something out in regards to the SEC and vaccinations.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great stuff. But we talked about Jimbo. Ronnie Harrison kind of ended that deal at Florida State with that tackle on DeAndre Francois. Daniel Wright with that big pick 6.
I was there for that game.
30.
For last year, the green-haired bandit to kind of really put the nail in the coffin for the Aggies. We'll see if he ever gets them over the hump. What I'm
20.
proud of, Scott, is it's now, you even have referred to it, it's Woken, not Wolken.
Oh,
it's
Dan
Woken.
Yeah,
it's always woke.
10 seconds.
He is woke when we come back.
Another 4-letter word, too. He's dumb. D-U-M-B.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Got a wreck at Brock Road and Jones Drive. That one reported with an injury. Everything else has run pretty smooth. Had a few areas of fog this morning. Got a long way to go. That still may be a problem for you. Snelling needs experienced materials handlers. First and second shift. Temp to hire opportunities. Resumes to jobs at snellinghsb.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Plenty of sunshine this afternoon, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be warm across the area. As a matter of fact, temperatures are going to be well below seasonal norms. Highs only hanging out in the upper 60s and lower 70s. There is the opportunity for a little bit of rain as we head into Thursday night, very early Friday morning, but that's going to be low or no impact because it'll be out of here by the time we get to the Friday morning commute. As a matter of fact, Friday afternoon looks like it's going to be filled with plenty of sunshine. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
On Wednesday, opening odds for NFL Rookie of the Year released. The number 1 draft pick, Trevor Lawrence, opening at plus 300, followed by Justin Fields at plus 600. Trey Lance and Zach Wilson each at plus 800. Najee Harris plus 1,000. And Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase each at plus 1,100. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather is a thing that will happen on June 6th, 1 month from today. The undefeated Mayweather, no surprise, the heavy favorite, minus 1,800. Paul, the YouTuber, at plus 850. Prop bets include will Paul be knocked down, minus 205 yes, plus 155 no. Wells Fargo Championship from Quail Hollow today. Co-favorites Justin Thomas and John Rahm plus 1,100. I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott.
All right, here we go. As always, this segment of Talking Ball brought to you by our good friends over at Terrell Technical Services Incorporated in Madison. They offer that full line of environmental health and safety services, including industrial hygiene, asbestos, mold, and bacterial services, Legionella testing and water management plans, lead-based paint inspection assessments and abatement plans, environmental site assessments, LEED certified air testing, and more. Their staff holds all U.S. EPA accreditations and nationally recognized certifications and credentials to necessitate your project to completion. Give them a call today, 256-461-9278, to discuss your environmental health or safety needs. Again, Terrell Technical Services, locally doing great things. And let's see here. Here we go. Time for hour number 2 of Talking Ball. And we mentioned Dan Woken. We start there with hour number 2.
That's right.
Dan Woken. Okay. SEC football is what he says. Should require COVID-19 vaccinations to attend games to help turn the corner in the lagging South. He said that football is such a priority here in the South. He said that, but the South in particular, college football should take an active role in making it happen. He said that now they can make an even more valuable contribution by having coaches aggressively promote the vaccine and requiring fans to be vaccinated to enter college football stadiums this fall. He says nowhere would that hit more home than the SEC footprint.
He's an idiot. He doesn't think people are already getting vaccinated. They all want full stands anyway. You don't have to promote it, you moron. Go cover the Kentucky Derby. It's all you know how to do anyway. I mean, good grief, man. Talking about how these coaches need to get out front lagging South. Lagging South, my ass. Only thing is lagging is his stupid ass. Because he's a moron. I mean, there is not one person or fan you talk to that doesn't want full stands in the fall. And I would imagine there will be some that are against the vaccine, and that's a personal choice. But I would say the majority of people would be vaccinated. They're not going to have to promote it, acting like people are not going to do it or not going to be safe, don't want full stands. Of course they want full stands. Everybody does. But I mean, it's still, this is not a socialist country. It is a free country. So you ought to be able to make a choice of getting vaccinated or not, and not have some moron like Dan Woken tell you that you have to. That guy is one of the biggest dumbasses in the history of the media. He wouldn't know when to get in out of the rain. He shouldn't get a credential from anybody to cover college football, first of all. He doesn't know anything about it. He's never written anything that was coherent or accurate or anything like that. He's been pathetic with the way he's covered this entire thing. He doesn't even think that they should have had a season last year or an NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Or even, and I'm sure he's not going to be in favor of the College World Series. But guess what, you moron? And you get another Moron of the Day award because, hell, you'd run away with it. We'd probably give you 1, 2, or 3 times a week, every week. But guess what? They're all happening, and you're not going to stop it.
Yeah,
Thank the Lord.
He says SEC football is a big enough incentive for so many Southerners that it could have a real impact on part of the country that isn't getting enough people vaccinated. Schools should play the card while they can.
I mean, how does he know? Well, I know. We all know. He's watching CNN. That's all we need to know. And I mean, I know we had a comment yesterday about some clown talking about we don't need to be talking politics on this show, but sometimes you have to because it's just involved in sports right now. I don't want it to be. Nobody does. But the problem is it is. And so it's just right now it's an unfortunate part of it. And, of course, you got idiots like Woken who bring it up all the time and won't let it go and won't focus on the positive things like completing a college football season, completing an NCAA tournament, and hopefully completing a college baseball season.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline.
And one thing I will say, and college baseball is dominated by the SEC. Right. We talked about it.
Yes.
But one thing I've been encouraged by, Scott, and of course, idiot won't talk about it, is that there's not been stoppages many. I mean, there has been a few, but not like what you saw even in basketball being the indoor sport was probably where we saw the most. And there was interruptions in football too. We all know that. But baseball, I think, has been remarkably, smooth. I mean, there has not been many COVID stoppages in baseball. And I think that's why we saw that rant by Dan McDonnell yesterday of Louisville, who's wanting full stands for his program because the Louisville Cardinals are, year in and year out, a college baseball power.
All right. So once again, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning as we will. You can weigh in on anything you heard in the first hour, UAH hockey, Jimbo Fisher, college football, and then just on Dan Woken right there. I'm basically telling everybody in the SEC footprint that they need to get vaccinated, and then schools should.
Is he vaccinated? That's what I'd ask that idiot. Are you vaccinated yet, you schmuck?
And the schools should. If they wanted to get it done in the South, they should just say you got to have it done before you come to a football game in the South. I mean, come on. I know we love our football, but that's just a little bit crazy there. The other thing is that the transfer portal, Drew, we talked a lot about the college football transfer portal. And we talked a lot about the college basketball transfer portal and how many guys were in it since the season ended there and how many guys were leaving and all that kind of stuff. But the college football transfer portal, since last August, there's been more than 2,100 FBS players entering the transfer portal. The number of scholarship players who entered the portal will exceed 1,400 this week, who among them look to be most destined for success in 2021. Well, the Athletic says, okay, look, of all these guys that have gone in the transfer portal, I mean, there's over 2,400. Let's rank them, and let's rank them. And some of them have already found their home. But the number one player ranked in the transfer portal right now coming out was running back Eric Gray of Tennessee, who ended up at Oklahoma. The number one player in the transfer portal, Eric Gray.
He had a really good year at Tennessee. People forget that. You know, he's well over 1,000 yards, very productive. But Tennessee was just terrible. And then after the first 2 weeks, they were ranked in the top 16 in the country, and then they fell off. But he was very, very good. And so the Sooners were very aggressive, and they also got Wanye Morris to play left tackle as well. So Tennessee had some talent. I just don't think they had I don't think Jeremy Pruitt hired a great staff. Okay,
right.
Period. End of story. And that's what Nick Saban should get more credit for, because he has to make adjustments on his coaching staff all the time. But he always, just nearly every time, pushes the right buttons. And so Jeremy Pruitt did not get the right mix. I think they were recruiting better players, such as Eric Gray, such as Wanye Morris, such as Quavarius Crouch and Henry To'oTo'o. but they just didn't have a cohesive enough coaching staff, and they did not solve the quarterback riddle to end up, winning consistently at Tennessee.
All right, number 2 on this list is Tyreek Stevenson of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He's headed to Miami, Florida. Number 3 is the one that we have mentioned, I think, every day. So this will just get us the name mentioned every day so we get it out of the way, and that is Henry To'oTo'o. He is uncommitted, but he is number 3 on this list.
Well,
so
it's
now,
going to be really interesting because, from what we understand now, I think within 3 weeks, by the end of this month, the SEC is going to pass the interconference transfer rule. So is To'oTo'o going to continue to wait, or is he going to choose Ohio State? Because he already could choose Ohio State. And a lot of people are saying that he's leaning that way. But see, what we don't know about Alabama is the true scholarship numbers. I've speculated that I thought they had a couple, open, but that could be different. There could be they could have more than 2, or we could see somebody else from Alabama move on, and which would open up room for To'oTo'o. You never know. I just know that Nick Saban's balancing the books here, and he may ultimately decide that he wants To'oTo'o to be a part of the program, and he's certainly talented enough to be a plug-and-play guy. But I just think also you have to be thinking about chemistry and the fact that you have a lot of really good young linebackers on your team already. So that's what's going to be really fascinating about the To'oTo'o situation. Is he going to decide to make the leap to Ohio State, or are they still waiting on Alabama? And we'll see in the next 3 weeks about that. I've been back and forth on it. I thought for many weeks he would end up at Alabama. I'm not as sure now. And then I'm wanting to also see what's going on with JT Tuilamoau.
All right, number 4 on the list is Jermaine Johnson from Georgia, who's going to Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
If you look down the list, Georgia picked up Tyke Smith from West Virginia, the defensive back. Kentucky, the Wendell Robinson transfer from Nebraska to Kentucky. This will make Jeff from the Borough happy. Number 8 on the top 50 transfer portal. So Kentucky getting there. Charleston Rambo from Oklahoma, kind of under the radar. 9th best in the transfer portal. He went to Miami of Florida. And then Mackenzie Milton from UCF going to Florida State rounds out the top 10.
And that's pretty amazing with Mackenzie Milton because of the severity of his knee injury.
Yes. Now, still undecided on this list is Darion Kendrick of Clemson, the defensive back.
Yeah,
he has yet to decide where he is going to go.
What kind of legal issues going on?
And then number 13, the last one that we'll bring up is Arik Gilbert from LSU. Where does he end up this year? I mean, where
Academics
his saga
is going to play a huge part in that because does he have the academics to transfer anywhere?
And then I said that was the last one. I'll bring up this last one. Alabama's latest one, Jamison Williams, by the way, comes in at number 18. The wide receiver from Ohio State going to Alabama comes in at number 18.
Matt Zenitz, who's been a good friend of the show, guest here from AL.com, just putting out a story. He talked to his high school coach in East St. Louis, and he said that with Jamison, he said Alabama was very upfront with him when he went into the portal.
Yeah,
and they started to pursue him and contact him, and just said that they felt like they didn't have anybody like Jamison. They felt like they had young talent at receiver, but they didn't have a speed guy like him. And I think, who has a couple years of experience. So I think that's what they thought when they started pursuing Jamison Williams.
And then, Drew, on the FCS level, we're learning that Jacksonville State is losing somebody into the transfer portal, and that'd be Trey Berry, the tight end.
Very, very impressively physically. 2 years ago we did their game and their win over UNA. I believe he had a touchdown and he had several catches. He just sticks out. I mean, you're talking about a dude that's 6'6", 6'7", 240 plus pounds, nearly 250 pounds, and he had over 100 catches and I think 1,000 plus yards receiving in his career as a Gamecock. So he will be, I would think, someone that Power 5 teams would be interested in coming out of that transfer portal for Jacksonville State. Was an all OVC type guy his whole career. Was just very, very productive as a tight end. And I'm sure in his situation, he's trying to enhance his value to the NFL and prove he can play on that Power 5 level. But you would think he would garner some definite interest in the portal.
Watch traffic.
Summer right around the corner. And with all the travel restrictions easing up, now is the time to a quick, relaxing getaway at the Lodge at Guntersville State Park. All the rooms are routinely disinfected and cleaned to the highest standard. And views across Guntersville Lake are as gorgeous as ever. It's been too long, all cooped up at home. Make plans now to spend a weekend at the Lodge or cabins or campgrounds of Guntersville State Park today. Visit alapark.com for more information.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson.
Okay, I'm rolling. Sonny's ready.
On 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, as we mentioned before the break, and thank you, Rod Daly, on Facebook for letting us know that the sound went out there. Able to get that fixed during the commercial break. That's how easy it is to get in on the show, comment on the show, comment on anything there. So if something happens, just let us know. We'll get that fixed. He was able to do that during the commercial break. But anyway, what we've got going on now is talking some LSU football, because yesterday we mentioned – not yesterday we mentioned it before the break that yesterday they did have a
quarterback join the transfer portal, and it's not surprising due to the fact they really had a four-way dance. Really, three guys were at the favorites, but they've got a lot of competition in the quarterback room right now at LSU, and so you've only got one football. We've talked about that repeatedly, so this was not a surprise, but still it's something that Ed Ogeron was going to have to deal with. And we wanted to bring in our next guest who can help us break it down. He does a great job. They have a great staff over there. Our great friend Billy and Body. We've also featured Shay Dixon, and we featured this next guest. He covers both the beat for LSU and recruiting. Does a great job. He's been in it nearly 20 years in the business. If you follow LSU, you know this name, you know this gentleman. And he's been kind enough to join us once again on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And that's Sonny Shipp from Go 24/7, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Sonny, welcome back to Huntsville. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you this afternoon? Or this morning. I keep forgetting this morning. How are you?
Good, fellas. How's it going, man?
We're going pretty good. So I don't think this was any shock to you guys. When did you guys start kind of hearing the rumblings that you might have some attrition from the quarterback room?
Well, I think, when you go back and when you look at it, I think very few expected LSU to keep all four quarterbacks in the quarterback room, going into the fall. It just, especially when you have three different guys who started games for you last year, and two of them were true freshmen. So the fact that LSU lost one of them is, was kind of expected. As far as, when you go back and you look at the spring game, TJ Finley, he didn't have a great game on that Saturday in Tiger Stadium. And I think that is what kind of maybe escalated his thought process a little bit more, especially considering how Max Johnson and Miles Brennan really fared. You toss in the talk of Ed Orgeron of really giving a lot of praise to true freshman Garrett Nussmeier. And then I think that kind of, just helped him make that decision of, hey, we've got a crowded room right now. We've got 5-star Walker Howard coming in next year. I could redshirt somewhere, not lose any eligibility since last year was a wash and didn't count towards his clock. And, better to do it now, find a place to get in there this summer and start working again. So I think he'll find him a good landing spot because, when you look at him, he's got a lot to work with. He's young. He probably got one of the strongest arms we saw in college football last year with the way that he just slings it out and how quick the ball gets out of his hand. So, I think he's going to have a bright future. And the good thing about it is LSU's quarterback room was in better shape than it had been going back to the days of Jamarcus Russell, Matt Flynn, Ryan Perlew, and those guys. And so, it keeps LSU in a good situation, and I think you're going to see all parties move forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, then what about the quarterback room? Now, you mentioned this is a subtraction. So what about that quarterback room right now where, obviously we know who's all in there. Is this Miles Brennan's quarterback room or is it somebody else's?
It seems almost he and Max Johnson separated themselves, Sonny. Would that be accurate?
I think so. I think so. When you look at how they played in the spring, how they played in the spring game. Me personally, when I look at the quarterback battle, if I'm basing it just off of the spring, and granted, we got to see very little of spring practices with them all, with so many of them being closed due to COVID. But when you combine what we heard from talking to sources, what we saw in the spring game, I'd give Max Johnson a slight edge as far as the head-to-head competition of he and Miles Brennan. However, you're comparing 100% Max Johnson from a health standpoint, a guy who didn't have any injuries coming in, who finished the season on a high note, leading them to those 2 victories over Florida and Ole Miss to get to 5-5, against a guy, Miles Brennan, who was coming off a pretty significant injury. It was obvious that he wasn't 100% during that spring game. From talking to people, they probably put him at about 85% right now. So is 100% Miles Brennan going to be better than 100% Max Johnson? And I think that's going to be that's going to kind of be the storyline going through the summer into fall camp is when you're comparing apples to apples, how's that battle going to shake out then?
Very interesting. We're talking to Sonny Shipp, Go 24/7. And really, I thought Max Johnson, you're right, finished really strong. But people forget it was an unusual injury for Miles Brennan. And before he went down, he was playing at a very high level, averaging over 400 yards passing per game, Sonny.
Yeah, he really put up some great numbers and got better with each week. He got better against Vanderbilt for the Mississippi State game than against Missouri. And when you have a kid that played through that injury, didn't come out, he played through the injury that he suffered against Missouri. You earn a lot of attaboys in the locker room. You earn a lot of respect from your teammates, and so that's why everybody wants to know, well, who's going to start against UCLA? Who do you think is going to start against UCLA when they travel out west to start the season? It's hard for me to see if the competition is as close as it is right now. Me personally, it's hard for me to see that a fully healthy Miles Brennan, where his core is strengthened up, there are no restrictions, there's no limitations as far as that movement that, any quarterback knows when you throw the ball that, you're using that stomach, you're using that core, that if he gets that back to 100%, I think it's just going to be tough for Max Johnson to kind of keep him on his heels. And, it's going to be a fun battle to watch. I think, one thing we saw last year is that you need more than one quarterback. And in LSU's case, you needed 3. Unfortunately, now, if you have to go to 3, you're going to have to toss in a true freshman, Garrett Nussmeier, instead of having a guy, TJ Finley, who started 5 games for you in 2020.
Wow, we talk about how big that Georgia Clemson opener is and, nationally ranked and big crossroads. What a crossroads game, though, that UCLA LSU game is, because you have Chip Kelly out there at UCLA who's, on the verge of maybe not being back next year if he doesn't have a good season. And then you got LSU coming off the season that they had and Ed Orgeron and everything, trying to rebuild that offense, recapture the offense, get a better defense. What an intriguing opener now.
Oh, a lot of storylines with that, And then, we're still going to be talking about COVID. We're still going to be talking about, okay, how many fans is going to be allowed in the Rose Bowl? What's that going to be like? What's that atmosphere going to be like? What's the environment going to be like? There's even been talk about maybe moving that game to Las Vegas or somewhere else to where they can get more fans in there. So, like you said, who the hell knows what the storylines are going to be there, when you toss out the football side. But from the football side, I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to be a matchup that as the summer rolls along, as you start hitting those dog days of summer to where everyone's breaking down every game just to try to, keep their readers and keep everyone happy with football, that you're really going to start hearing about more of that game, more, like you said, that cross-country matchup. I mean, these two programs have never played. And so that'll be another storyline to add to it. And then Chip Kelly, he's never one to hold his tongue. Ed Orgeron, he's been known to say stuff before too. So, man, those two might even get into a boxing match or something before that game by the time we get there.
And yet we have to listen to Dan Woken call out the Southeast. We don't even know how many fans are going to be out in California. They're going to have the game there. I mean, if I'm Chip Kelly and I lose that home game, I'm going to be raising some hell because I need some kind of home field advantage. I mean, you're already going into it with LSU to me being more talented. I mean, come on. That's just me, though. I mean, I know Ed Orgeron will play in the parking lot, but I'm just saying,
Well, you got to also remember, too, that Chip Kelly's 0-1 against LSU.
That's true.
They played in 2011.
Oregon,
they met in Jerry's World when he was with Oregon.
Yeah.
And LSU went in there and pulled
and whacked them pretty good.
And it ended up being an upset, too, because Jordan Jefferson, that was the year that he got suspended right before that game. And then it was like, okay, Jarrett Lee is going to be our starter. And everybody's like, wait, the same Jarrett Lee who threw 30 pick sixes as a true freshman? And so that was considered a pretty mild, even a mild upset because they were fairly closely in that game. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. And man, I just can't wait to see some normal football game like conditions. Fans in the stands, the bands, and everything, and just. We got a taste of it when they opened up the baseball and softball this past weekend to 100% capacity and fans were there and no mask and stuff. So we got a little taste of that. Unfortunately, Arkansas spanked LSU on the diamond there.
Yeah, well, and Sonny, I was going to say, too, in that 2011 game, was that not the coming out party, just the foreshadowing of the Honey Badger? Because he made a lot of big plays in that game.
He did. He had he had a fumble.
Yep.
He had a sack, strip, and fumble that I think he scooped up and scored on.
That's right.
And that was just a sign of things to come from that game. And what a year! What a year that ended on such a bad note.
Yeah, we remember that. But certainly, it was a great LSU football team, no doubt about it. And I guess I'm glad you mentioned the full capacity. How has that been received? I'm sure the LSU fans have, and Paul Maneri especially, have been ecstatic about the way that of having a full capacity because there was a lot of activity, a lot of you had Arkansas in town for both softball softball and baseball last week.
Yeah, it was. It went. I wanted to say they said they had a little bit under 7,000. So not the normal box, but definitely the closest thing that you had seen to that since probably the 2019 season, because they never got to have an SEC series,
right.
And all the series leading up that they did have in 2020 were just kind of ho-hum, against opponents that really aren't big draws. And so, that was probably the first one. Unfortunately, they hit the road this week at Auburn. They close the season out at Texas A&M. They get Alabama next weekend. So I imagine that Alabama series will probably be pretty intense, especially with everything on the line for really both programs.
Yeah, Paul Maneri, he's facing a little bit of heat.
How hot is his
A little
seat,
bit of heat,
Sonny?
I mean,
Let's go.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Let me rephrase that. A lot of heat.
Well, I don't think it should be. That's just my opinion. Before you finish your thoughts, Sonny, I love Paul Maneri. I've always we know him personally here. He's been with us, and really just a class act. I hate to see it, but how hot is his seat? I guess.
I think with the fan base that it's pretty hot.
Yeah.
But I think with the administration, it's not nearly as hot.
Got it. Gotcha.
I think the thing that you have to look at with Paul is, when you look at it from the LSU baseball, the first time that they made it to the College World Series under Skip Burton was 1986. If they don't make it to Omaha this year, this will be the first time that they've had a 4-year since they made it in 86.
Wow.
And so, when you start looking at that, when you start looking at their, and I was actually working on a story on that, right now they're 118 and 75 overall since 2017 when they last made it to the World Series, 39 and 42 inside the conference.
Mm-hmm.
So when you add that into, I think some things that Paul is going through right now, there's some talk that he's got some issues with his neck, maybe his back, that when you add the season that he's had on top of that, and then you look at kind of the past few seasons, we're talking about who's 64 years old. He's been doing this for almost 40 years. I'm sure anyone at this point in their professional and personal life, they look at where they are every year, to say, okay, is it time to start spending more time with the grandkids? Does he have great grandkids? Time to spend more time with the wife? And so I think all of that stuff is probably amplified a little bit more when you look at the season that he's had. So, I do think that there is some legitimacy to the talk of him considering, what the future is going to be like. Is this the time? Because he already made one major hire and one major staff change when he brought in Eddie Smith as new hitting coach in 2019. If they miss out on the postseason this year, if they go to a regional and they don't make it out of that regional to a super regional, I think he's going to have to make another major staff change to kind of keep the fan base on his side or to get them back on his side and to keep people happy. Well, that would mean he would have to get rid of 10-year pitching coach Alan Dunn.
Oh yeah.
Does Paul want to make a major staff change like this at this point in his career? So I think when you lump all of that stuff in there together, that it really lends some legitimacy to the talk that you hear about, what's Paul's future going to be like?
Well, I mean, we certainly hope that they can turn it around. And we know that's going to be a big series for both Alabama and LSU because Alabama hasn't been to regional since 2014, longest drought in the league. And we know LSU is certainly used to hosting regionals and being a huge national factor. But I will say, during Paul Maneri's tenure, I think he's still done a remarkable job at LSU, but the league has gotten so much better. And I mean, it's just, everybody's got a great ballpark now. I mean, the thing that's stunning to me is I go back to the mid 90s following SEC baseball, and Vanderbilt was by far the worst program in the league. Now they're the best program in the league, year in and year out. It's just, and how good Tennessee has gotten under Tony Vitello. This league is just a shark tank. Sonny, it's just really a difficult. I think a lot of these SEC schools, if they can continue to grind and get to a regional, say they get 9 or 10 in the NCAA tournament, I think they'll probably going to fare pretty well nationally when they can get away from their own league.
Yeah, I think so too. And look, I agree with you on Paul 100%. I'm a big believer that, look, if you win a national championship and you play for another one, you're not a one-hit wonder.
No.
You know how to get there. You know what it takes to get there. And so I don't think anyone in their right mind would say that, Paul's just, he's in over his head. He's not a good coach or anything like that. Even the LSU fans who have wanted to see Skip Burton come back to the helm and take over
Right.
again, But, and like you said, Paul is a great guy. It's just a matter of, at some point when you look at everything that, that is going on in your professional and your personal life, like I said, I mean, you have to evaluate where things are. And when you consider, where the record is right now, the injuries that you may have, what you've seen your players and stuff, some personal things you've gone through with your life, I mean, it's got to be human nature to evaluate where you are. And so, that's why it's going to be interesting to see what happens, how LSU finishes the season, and then also, what Paul ultimately decides, because, I do think that if there was change, that it would be his decision. I don't believe that the administration or anyone would force him out.
Yeah, no doubt. And to show you about the small world, one of our listeners who calls us frequently bought Alan Dunn's house here in Huntsville. So
wow.
when he was working for the Orioles before he was hired by the great Paul Maneri to be the pitching coach at LSU. Of course, Alan Dunn, also a former University of Alabama pitcher as well. Before we let you go, though, really quickly to circle back to TJ Finley, do you think you followed recruiting for a long time, connections and everything? Is he going to be a Power 5 guy? Is he going to land there, or could he go to a school, maybe a group of 5, become an immediate starter and a star? Or where do you kind of see that going?
I think he's a Power 5. I think he goes to the Power 5. I think he tries it out at the Power 5, and if that doesn't work a couple of years from now, then you have that option of saying, okay, now I'll go to a smaller time to impress NFL personnel. But right now, I came out of high school thinking I'm a Power 5 quarterback. My offers, me signing with LSU, prove that. And, I want to go to a big school that's got the big facilities that, I'm going to be on the red carpet and I'm going to give it my all there.
Well, we'll see. I just had a thought that he might take a look at Billy Napier in Louisiana, but Billy Napier probably very soon going to be a Power 5 coach. So going to be interesting to see where TJ Finley winds up. But Sonny, we appreciate the insight and the thoughts. Let everybody know how to connect with you and go 24/7.
Yeah, come check us out. Tons of LSU news talking about the draft with recruiting, the dead period being lifted here soon. Come check us out at go247.com. It's GEAUX247.com.
Thanks, Sonny. We appreciate
Sonny.
it, man.
Appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a great day.
All right, good stuff there from Sonny Shipp here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Let's get a breakthrough. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. Charles Barkley giving us some humor.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Had a couple of wrecks working 565 westbound near the downtown exits. No injury there. Brock Road and Jones Drive did have an injury involved. Sounds like a vehicle may have hit a tree on that one. They paged it out with entrapment, but they canceled Rescue 1 quickly on it. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device, insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Here's a list of what we have. The Crimson Tide Sports Network, the Atlanta Braves Radio Network, Madison Academy Football, UAH Basketball, the SEC Radio Network, the College Football National Championship Game, the SEC Football Championship Game, NBA Playoffs, MLB Playoffs, and that's just the starting lineup. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That fact is important for you to know.
Gunner's Landing is one of the Tennessee Valley's finest golf experiences. Just 35 minutes from downtown Huntsville, Gunner's Landing's 18-hole championship jewel is open to the public 7 days a week. Located in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, Gunner's Landing offers you a golf experience like no other. With beautiful Lake Gunnersville views throughout the round, Gunner's Landing is golf the way nature intended. Gunner's Landing's Club Repair Shop offers a full range of services, including re-gripping and adjusting the lofts and lies of your clubs, even putters. Since the work is done in-house, your clubs will be returned to you in a timely manner. Unmatched in the North Alabama area, it is Gunner's Landing. Schedule your tee time today at gunnerslandinggolf.com. That's gunnerslandinggolf.com.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
I want to thank you.
Thank you for making us your #1 choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. It's time for tomorrow's headlines.
All right, 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
And Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, tomorrow's headlines today, Drew. The sun is shining. Don't see any rain clouds out there. That's good news for several of our area teams because they start quarterfinal baseball playoffs today. In Class 2A, Decatur Heritage is at home today, taking on Westbrook Christian. They will get underway at 4:30 and 6:30 in games 1 and 2. In Class 4A today, we don't have anybody playing today. In Class 5A, we got a couple teams. Russellville is going to host Alexandria today at 4:30 and 7. And Madison Academy travels to Hayden today, 4:30 and 7, games 1 and 2. Hartselle will travel to Oxford today, 5:30 and 7:30 for their quarterfinal playoff games in the baseball playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. And just reading some reactions, sounds like Lane Kiffin already poking fun at Jimbo Fisher, saying, well, you're now on the weight room at Alabama. With his on the wall with his comments. So that's just typical stuff, no doubt about it. But
well,
yeah.
Lane's probably there as well.
He's been there already. But I mean, with all his tweets,
I was going to say he's already there.
He always likes to kind of poke at folks and poke the bear, so to speak, with Nick Saban. But yeah, and I'm glad you updated everyone on the playoff runs. That could be a potentially humongous series in 5A next week. If Russellville and Madison Academy both take care of business, they would collide. You already heard Avery Seaton on our airways on
right.
And by the way, Saturday we'll be at University Kia yet again. But they were already kind of both of these squads know they have to take care of who's in front of them, but they could all kind of see this coming in the semifinals for a chance to go to Montgomery, and so we could easily see. Would not surprise me at all if Russellville and Madison Academy collide.
All right, and then over at John Hunt Park today, the state soccer tournament gets underway, and kudos to the Huntsville Sports Commission, to the city of Huntsville.
Mark Russell and everybody.
Everybody for getting those soccer fields looking as good as they do. The Whitesburg Christian Academy Gals will take the pitch at 11 a.m. today as they take on Donahue for a shot in the 1A, 3A girls state championship game.
Donahue. Yep. Nice.
And then on the boys' side today, Mars Hill Bible and Collinsville will face each other at 1 p.m. for a spot in the 1A, 3A boys state championship game. In 4A, 5A girls today, Gunnersville and St. John Paul II will meet at 3 p.m. for a spot in the championship game. And then 4A, 5A boys will see Crossville and Russellville play at 5 p.m. for a spot in the 4A, 5A state championship game. Class 6A and 7A will take to the pitch tomorrow for their semifinal games, with the finals coming on Saturday.
Yep.
All right. So that is some of the high school news and notes going on. Now, I mentioned humor with Charles Barkley, and I have got to cue this up about 13 seconds in because he says some language that's not appropriate for us to play. And I don't think Ray could hit the beep button as fast as what
Ray's got his finger on the pulse there, I think.
Oh, he does, but not as fast as what we would need him. So here's just a little humor from Charles Barkley yesterday at Greystone Country Club.
How many championships have they won in the last couple of years? Like 6? 6 in 12 years. I would consider, since we've only won 2 in 50 years, I would consider that a big gap. I think it's fair to say every year. Hey, number 2 here. Number 2 here. You see my ball? How you doing? Hey, that's the great Bo Jackson. He's amazing. Y'all still got that stupid ass thing going when y'all count down the days until football starts again? Every time I'm home, I just be laughing. 69 days until football starts. Right. Yeah, okay. And I want to tell you this other thing. If a fight break out, I want Coach Harsin with me. If a fight break out, me and Coach Harsin gonna kick some ass. Hey guys, thank y'all for being out here today. Yeah, and tell the weatherman they suck. They said it was gonna be not raining.
Oh, the one and only Charles Barkley.
Talking about Alabama and Auburn in the football, talking about everything there.
He basically said that. He's like, is there a big? Well, it's true. There is a big gap. I mean,
That is true.
Yeah. There's a big gap right now between the football programs, but Coach Harson's going to try to close that gap soon. But we have more transfer portal news for the Auburn Tigers.
It's going to close
every day, it seems. Part of this class this year, Kamal Hayden, the junior college defensive back, has already entered his name into the transfer portal.
Now, let me ask you this, though. Are you shocked that it's taken this long? Because obviously a new coach, you are going to get guys that leave in the transfer portal.
No.
Are you shocked, though, that it's taken this long for the Auburn players to get into the transfer portal?
No, they went through spring to get a feel for the new coaching staff, man.
Okay.
You're going to do that. You at least owe yourself that. And if you don't feel like you're in part of the plans, or if you don't feel like your style of play fits their style of defense, and these guys aren't the ones that recruited you, then you get in the transfer portal. And that's what we're seeing with Auburn. It's what Jake Crane talked about earlier in the week. It's just a part of it. It's part of that process. And so, as he said, it opens up, slots for Auburn to. They don't necessarily have to go out and get a DB. Go out and get a wide receiver, go out and get a defensive lineman, go out perhaps pursue a linebacker. It allows them to bring in a player that staff feels like they see a role for in the 2021 season and then going forward for Auburn.
All right, Hayden ranked as the number 3 JUCO cornerback in the 2021 class.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, Alabama's already had the number 1 from the year before. Ronald Williams hit the portal.
Right.
Okay. It happens when you're because when you're a junior college player, Scott, you're usually signed to be a plug and play. They want you to contribute heavily your first year on campus. Now, Ronald Williams got hurt at the end of fall camp last year, which really impeded his progress. We don't know what's going on with Kamal Hayden, but again, it was, if you look at it, that defensive staff, there's nobody left. It's completely different. They completely changed their defensive staff and their defensive scheme. So Jake Crane and his guys that he trusts. There's several that they on his show they kind of gauge interest and see what the pulse is for transfers.
Right.
And it looks like that Auburn is the favorite for the young man from Vanderbilt, who many people think. I meant to ask you on that rundown of the guys in the portal where he ranked. I mean, I know we talked about Jamison Williams ranking 18th.
Right.
But he was.
Who are we talking? Which one?
The Vanderbilt safety.
Yes. Let me see.
Now, he was considered their best player, but he entered the portal a couple of weeks ago, and it's known basically that Auburn, due to Derek Mason being the defensive coordinator and formerly his head coach at Vanderbilt, they were going to be heavily involved with it. But Texas and Steve Sarkisian are as well.
Well, Daquan Newkirk from Auburn, he was number 23. He's now in Florida.
Right.
You mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, Will Levis from Penn State transferred to Kentucky. I did not see that. It's a quarterback.
Right.
I did not see that one. Ryan Helinski. I'm trying to see if Keontae Ingram from Texas is at USC now. Going over. Florida State picked up 2 guys from South Carolina.
Donovan Kaufman is the young man's name. So I didn't know how.
Well, they don't have him listed in the top 50.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm a little surprised by that, but
yeah. They don't have him
I
listed.
think Auburn is considered the favorite over Texas right now for Donovan Kaufman.
Yeah, I'm looking. They don't have him listed in here. So I'm kind of scrolling through this. They have Ryan Helinski from South Carolina going to Northwestern.
Yeah,
he is number 29 on the top.
Yeah, he
50.
didn't play last year because he got really beaten out. And so, but remember, as a freshman, he made some plays against Alabama and had a really promising freshman year.
Yeah.
And so now he will be going to play for Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern.
All right. Well, that's about all the fun. I mean, we're about up to the whistle here.
We want to thank Brian Bosarge of Deep Fried Draft. Did a great job just breaking down the Miami Dolphins draft. Taking a look at Jalen Waddle's potential impact, Tua Tagovailoa in year 2, no doubt about it. And then also we want to thank Sonny Shipp. Does a great job of Coach 24/7. Giving us some insight into Paul Maneri, who I know he's taking some heat, but doesn't need to be. I think LSU, they're probably going to surge up the standings in the last 3 weekends because the SEC is the toughest league in the country. But I'm really going to be interested to see how they play against Bush Thompson and Auburn, because Auburn re-entered the conversation last weekend, winning 2 out of 3 at Georgia. Now can they win 2 out of 3 at home against LSU?
And we got to thank Dan Woken as well.
30
for his excellent article.
Never. Go cover UCLA, you schmuck. Go out there. They won't even have
20.
Full stands. But are you going to talk about them getting vaccinated? Probably not. Go work out in the West Coast. Forget you exist. Go work. Go contribute to the Colin Cowturd show.
That's gonna do it.
I love overpriced stuff. Avocados, designer t-shirts, artisanal water, you name it. That's why I get my internet from the other guys. Paying more for the same stuff. What could be better?
Wow is better, because for just $29.99 per month, we give you the super fast, reliable internet you need and the awesome customer service you deserve. Switch to Internet 100 for just $29.99 per month. And now, learn how to get $150 on us at Huawei.com. Limited to new customers with autopay and paperless billing. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today